All right, guys, this is the third installment, probably the final installment of my how I do Conquest. We're going to go over it sector by sector this time, a little more in depth. What characters can be used for what feats. Now, I'm not going to break down like too much what teams I use. I'll have a little bit of that, but very little because my roster is different than your roster. I was able to get the red crate within 6 days. I had finished all of the, and I'll show you here, all of the feats, which is the first time for me. I've never been able to finish all feats. I finished all the feats in 7 days. Was not difficult for me at all. Now I have basically a PvE, player versus engine roster, which means I don't have all 5 GLs. I don't have everything set for PvP. I have 3 GLs, which is more than most, I know. But I utilize what I have the best for this. And hopefully, with what I've done, helps you get where you need to be. Especially, you don't want to spend more than an hour or so on this a day. And that's part of the big problem with this, is that if you don't have the time to sit and go over this and over this and over this, it can be stressful. So starting with 2 basic things you want to do right from the very beginning, and I've mentioned these in the other videos. I'm going to go over them right quick in case you haven't seen those videos. Complete all the sectors one time through. As you're going through, oops, I clicked the wrong thing. As you're going through, look and see what feats you need. Because if you can do, work towards those a little bit on the way, great. So, but the main thing is get all the way through it. Now, I completed it in 2 days. I went all the way through it in the first 2 days, had a little time left over, and then started working on the feats. So that's one of the things. And the main reason for doing that is 2 things, or say main reasons. One is your cards. You want to get those data discs. Now, I'm going to go over mine right quick. I'm not a big fan of the offense ones because, unfortunately, most of the time you're trying to do like things over and over, like gain this many buffs so many times or debuff the enemy so many times. Well, if you're killing them off too fast, you're going to have to do it more times. So I actually prefer the fights to be a little longer. And I do like this one a lot. I wish I had 2. I only have 1. Where you can cleanse when you gain a debuff and also gain mastery, which is great. 2 and 1. Having 2 of those would have been wonderful, but only one ever showed up for me. Unfortunately, it was blue, though. The other thing is turn meter gains, and I like the health and protection ups when you're attacking out a turn. Most of the squads I use have some form of attacking out of turn things built into them. And not really by design, just how it worked out with the feats that you need. All right, so there's that. So again, these are what I used. I tried switching them out and I went back to these 2 different times I did that. I like this one here, just one of them. I wish I had that in blue. I wish I had all these in blue, but I didn't get lucky when it comes to that. So anyway, so there's that. Now, the other reason why you want to complete the whole thing is that you have a bunch of these, 1 each round, where you have to do 14 of a certain squad. And the problem with that is, well, if you do 1 a day, that's 14 days. So you want to try to do 2 a day, and if you have a stronger squad, 3 a day. So the way how it worked out for me with all of them is I was able to do 2 in the morning. I don't like to do too many and you get too thin because you don't want to lose. If you lose, you just wasted 20 points. So if it's 1 is comfortable, then do 1 in the morning and then do 1 at night. 1 in the morning, 1 in the night, because by the time morning comes, it's refreshed. By the time night comes, it's refreshed. If you do 2 in the morning, by the time night comes, it should all be refreshed or at least close to. You can do 1 more at night, and then while you sleep for your 8 hours or whatever, when you get up in the morning, it should be refreshed. And so that's how I did that. So I ended up doing about 3 a day, so 3, 4 days, 5 days most. Those were all done. So you want to do those. But before you do those, you also want to look and see, well, if there's some of these that require, like the Dazes and so on and so forth. It does not say you have to win the battle. If you do not have to win the battle, you do not have to win the battle, meaning you can lose the battle and still get the credit. What you cannot do is back out. So don't back out. So if you get it down and there's 1 character's left and there's 3 minutes remaining, you just walk away, let it time out, and just collect it, and then collect your whatever, Dazes or whatever you got. Just don't win the battle. Then I do that with only the squads that require me to have to do so many kills or so many wins. Right, let me put it that way. So there are a couple that are like that where you're kind of sharing. So do the attempts first without winning, and then come back and then do the others. Try not to run out of crystals. Now, talking about the crystals, I did the 50s every day, and then I only did like a couple, 1 or 2 100s per day. And within, like I said, 6 days it was done. So next time I'm only going to do the 50s. I'm not even going to go to the 100s. Although the first day I did the 50s and the 100s because I did not do that the first time. And then it went away. They had to reset it. And well, I only went through the first stage. So I never even got any of the extra shards and so on. They are allowing people to keep those extra shards and extra tickets and so on. And well, it would have been nice to have that. So when it came out again, I went and got into stage 4 and I collected what I could just in case for any reason they had to reset it again. So in the future, unfortunately, they're making you want to do that the first day. Doesn't mean you have to complete the whole thing the first day, but I would do the 50s and 100s because they've set that precedence. So now we're going to go back to Sector 1. We're going to look at the feats. 100 out of turn attacks, that's easy. 200 crits, advantage, potency, down. Defeat with the Phoenix and your Bounty Hunters 14 battles. Now, the advantage, there are, I don't know, a million characters that do that. And if you have some first order, which most people do, you're just going to get it out of that. I don't really need to go over teams. Just use whatever you have best for that. Potency down, that would be, and I'm going to go over that here, Grandmaster Yoda. His basic does that. And I'm going to go and I'm going to show you the team I used to get these 2 feats. Along with these 2 feats, I got these 2. All right, so here we go. These are the 2 characters that are able to give potency down. Both of them do it on their basics. For me, I have Grandmaster Yoda, inflict potency down 1 turn. And for him, which he's very low level for me and stuff, so I would not use him for that, but his basic, potency down. So depending on what you have, one of those 2 characters will work. This is the team I used for that. Now there was one exception, and I'll show you that in just a second. But the idea is with Jedi Master Luke, to gain his ultimate, you do the teachings where you're targeting somebody and assisting them in, and then they get their teachings, towards his ultimate. What I did was Yoda, I had him assist all the time and get his potency downs on characters. When a character got low in health, I would then use Ezra to finish him off. Now again, all of those do not require you to win. So if you can go up against a Night Sister, which is another point that's very important, try to, if you have the ability to, have a Night Sister team in each sector, because they have DACA and DACA resists them. And you can do it over and over and over again. So you should be able to get anywhere from 5 to 10 kills with Ezra each time you do this. The other two are just support, mainly for Ezra. And that's how I did that one. Now, you can use whatever you want here. Now, we're going to go back over and look at the boss feat. All right. So here we are with the boss feat. Separatist units, no tank, and complete the battle after attempting to inflict stun 20 times. You switch out JML and put in Jedi Knight Revan. You switch out one of the supports, I would say Ezra, on this one, because my Ezra was weak. If your Ezra's strong, leave him. And you put in Jedi Knight Luke. You'll get your stuns from him, the no tank, and that's done. Now this one you do have to complete, because it says win. And so you will lose some stamina with that. So I would do that maybe a little bit later, whatever, or the first time through, when you're going through the first time, use one of those teams. Separatists, you can use Separatists. Make sure that you don't have GG, because it'll kill too fast. And what you want is Dooku. Dooku's basic stuns, and he usually gets 2 attempts. So that's the other way that's easy to do this, and you should be able to get all of them if you don't bring a tank. So you bring Wat Tambor and so on, and you can hopefully get that with that. I know some people that did that. I used the Jedi, but I know others use that. All right, now we're going to go on to Sector 2. All right, here we are at Sector 2. 100 buffs, Rebel fighters, win 10 battles with no support, win battles with only attackers, blind, and of course, Night Sisters. The Rebel fighters, obviously, you're going to be using Mon Mothma, which you can also use her for the final boss. We will go over that in a minute. No supports and attackers, that's best to use just one team. You do a Jedi team of all attackers, and you just got those 2. Any faction that you have that you can do with all attackers, no supports, would be great. But Jedi seem to be the easiest. Attempt to flick blind. I'm going to show you that here. There's only a few characters that do that. And then, of course, your Night Sister squad, depending on what you have, is how you will build that. So now we're going to go over and take a look at the blind characters and stuff. All right, here we go. All right, so here's our Sector 2 stuff. Here's your blind characters. His second ability, inflict blind on an enemy, but it's only 1. So that's the downside. So that, if you use that, will take a while. Mission, if you've got a strong one, her second ability, inflict blind on target. Again, only 1. Omega, her basic does blind, inflict blind and daze. And that's only if she has evasion up, which she should when you're using her with Bad Batch. Sun Fact, blind and daze right here. And again, it's 1 target. Obviously, your best bet, because you do the whole team. You can blind them. And if you're going up against Knights, you can do it multiple times. Again, this is one you don't have to complete to get the credit. So go in with him, do not win the battle, and you will be good. Alrighty. Moving right along. Going on to the third sector. Before we go to Sector 3, quickly go over this boss. As stated before, I did use Mon Mothma the first time through. I got my 20 critical hits without losing units. And then what I did is I did a Night Sisters mirror match to get the 300k health. All right, now let's move to sector. Here's the feats. Stealth 40 times, inflict stun 100 times, gain daze 20 times. Old Republic, that was the more annoying one. Again, you don't have to win. All of these down to here, you do not have to win the battle. Evasion down 40 times. So, don't win the battle. You know, simple. Now, the first time you go through, yeah, try to do some of these out and win the battle the first time through. But then after that, don't win those battles. And when I finished the thing, almost all my characters were at 100%. The only ones that weren't were the ones that I had to do these battles with. Everybody else is 100%. So it just works out great. Empire. So I used my Imperial Troopers for that. And like I said, you can kind of get some of these in there with some of the Imperial Troopers. We're going to go over these a little more in depth right now. All right, let's go over and take a look. All right, so here we are, your Evasion down, or your Frenzies, I'm sorry, your Frenzies first. These are the two characters that do it. Again, when you're using Mon Mothma, you're going to get some of those right there. So I would work on the feats that deal with her first, and then the Evasion down, Zam does an AoE. Hers is AoE too. So, and also the Chupio. So you can do either way, but with Bosk's Frenzy and Zam's Evasion down, there you go. So let's go over these. Now, this one here, it actually says Frenzy. You know right where to go to get it. The problem with this one here is, oh, I'm sorry, cooldown is 7. That's the issue with that one. And even though he takes immediate turns and stuff whenever you use a special, it still takes some time to get that one. Bosk, it's whenever he taunts, and he gains turn meter, almost takes another turn right when bounty hunters do specials too. So that one goes a little bit faster. And then going over Evasion down, we'll start with Zam since I mentioned her. I believe it's this one here. Inflict Evasion down on all enemies. There you go. If you can get that to go off twice, wonderful. .3PO. Evasion down on his basic. Hodo. Evasion down. That's an AoE too. So if you have Hodo up, that's another good one. Basilisk Sean, the issue with hers is yes, she has it and she can inflict it, but it's only when the fears expire. So she gives 2 fears, and only when they expire does that work. So that can do it, but I wouldn't rely on that. Old Ben, it's his basic, I believe, does, if I remember right. Yep, Evasion down. So you can make some teams with those. The 2 best, obviously, are 3PO and then Zam. That's the way you want to go with those. Try to combine them with something else. All right, and then this is what I used, or a team like this. The first 3 here are your Old Republics. They also get Evasion down with Old Ben, so why not stick him in there and get a couple off of that. And then I had Grandmaster Yoda really for support. And what you want to try to do is just win with these characters. If there's another lineup that you're more comfortable with, that's fine. But you want to do the last hit with these guys. And that ends up not being too difficult. Let's go and look at the boss on the third sector here. Turn meter removal, I used Imperial Troopers. Again, I used them anyway because of the other feats. And just make sure you have Moff Gideon with you. All he has to do is do his special twice, and that pretty much does it. You could use him with another team, but you definitely want him here. When without using more than 6, Mace Windu, and when without using any Jedi characters. Well, your IT, and that will do that. Without doing this, I believed I used JMK with Windu in his party, and I just made sure I didn't use that many specials, and that went just fine. So this is a 2 battle, and you'll get all the feats with that. All right, moving on to Sector 4. All right, here's the feats. Evasion up, Stagger, Evade. Now the Evade one, I got by default just doing the other things. Now only with battles you win, but just for some reason, I just got a lot of evades. I didn't build a special team for this. Although if you do use a Darth Maul lead and put some of those, put an evasion disc or 2 on, there you go, you'll get it that way. But I didn't have to do that. Win with no attackers. Defeat with Mandalorians. It does not say to win, remember. So that works for that. And then your smuggler. So with the Mandalorians, if you've got a strong team, go in. If you've only got 1 or 2 good tunes, then you want to build a bounty hunter or a smuggler or something, a scoundrel team or something where you can showcase those off and just make sure you try to do the kills with the ones that you have. So that one's, for me, was one of the harder ones to do because I don't have the best Mandalorian faction. It's okay. But I was able to get it done. What I did is I had Bosk lead, and then I had the Mandalorians that had the bounty hunter tag, and then I just had I think a couple more bounty hunters. I basically made a bounty hunter team with some Mandalorians. And then the smuggler. So let's go over these things here. All right. Sector 4, evasion up characters. Now, you got 3 of them here that do it. So guess what team would probably be the best to use for that? But let's go over them anyway. Kat has it on her second ability. Evasion up. So I think they both get it. So that's 2. You should be able to do that a couple times if you plan it right per battle. Again, you don't have to win with doing these. Echo. Where is it here? Evasion up. And that's all of the clone troopers. So if you go with a whole squad of clone troopers, you'll get 5 each time you do that. You want to try to do that 2 or 3 times. Hunter. Second ability here. Clone trooper allies gain evasion up and stealth for 2 turns. That's 2 AoE evasion ups. You can imagine how fast you'll get that with this team. Omega, her basic, gives it. Han is another AoE. Evasion up for 2 turns. And that's all allies. These are stagger characters. Jihani. Stagger each enemy. So this is all of them, but she has to be stealth. So make sure you time that correctly, but you'll get everybody in one shot with that. Again, with her, the downside is you get the staggers after the fears expire. You only get 2 fears, so you're only going to get so much of that. Veteran Han, if he's you know, better than mine, his basic staggers. So if you have him with a smuggler team, Kira is how I got it. Right here. All characters stagger. So you get that off a couple times. And mine's low level, and it still worked. Resistance hero, Finn, or Poe, I'm sorry. Come on. Special damage to target enemy. So it's only a single when you do it. So again, with these kinds of things, you want to try to do AoEs. This is my group I used. So I'm getting evasion up with him. I'm getting the staggers with her. Really, this team for me did it. Because you have to use them so many times. By the time you've done 14 wins, you've gotten it. This is a weaker team, so I only did max 2 at a time, so I would get down to 80% and stop, and then that night I would do it one more time, and then the next morning it's completely refreshed. That's one of those teams where it was weak, but I was able to get it all done. So there you go. Moving on to the boss. All right, so with this one here, the defense penetration, I use JMK. Fortunately, I have him. His basic gives it to a character on his team that doesn't already have it. So every time he does his basics, when he's called into assist and so on and so forth, he's handing those out left and right. No issues getting that armor shred. Well, you get that from Cat, at least I did. I came back in with SEE for this one, and I just kind of wiped the team out in one shot, and then win without any support units. So what you do is one of those 2 teams you're going to build without support, and you'll get that. All right, moving on to Sector 5. All right, here we go. Daze, 100 enemies. Does not say to win. You can kill 100 enemies, just get any other stuff, so you will. Win at least 20 battles without losing a unit. You've got to win that many. But 14 of them you're going to do with the Geonosians, so that leaves only 6 that you actually have to win. Deathmark is a problem. We'll go over that in a minute. And then your 40 units with Bad Batch. So for the most part, this one's not that bad if you have the correct units. I have 4 of the Bad Batch, and I don't have Omega, as you have seen. So I was able to get those by a team of Bad Batch and 1 other character. And again, fortunately for me, each sector I had 1 team of Night Sisters that I could use, so I could do this, you know, I would get anywhere from, 10 to 15 per attempt. So within 3 attempts, I had finished that. So, all right, so let's go out and look at the days and stuff. Okay. Sector 5. Now I'm going to show you something here, where to find all these Dazes, Deathmark, so on and so forth. So we're going to run over to the internet browser and take a look. All right, hang on. All right, and here we are on an internet browser. Wants me to eat something, apparently. We're going to type in SWGOH. Now you can see I've used this. And there's days and then characters. Scroll down, Daze characters, SWGOH.gg. Click it. This is all the characters that react with Daze. Now, this is what's important. They don't all inflict Daze down. Some of them are if the opponent or if the character you're targeting has Daze down, you know, then it'll do something. This is all these characters have something to do with Daze. So out of all these, there's more than just the 5 I show. But I want to show the ones that I think most people should at least have or have access to. So let's start. Let's going to go back over to the game. There we are. All right, so now we're going to start with Echo. Obviously, the Bad Batch, they've really favored in this one here. Daze on your third, and it's an AoE. So you're going to collect those up quick for using him. Admiral Piet. Where is it? Did I go past? Yeah, inflict Daze. Now this is again an AoE. Great. Sunfac. I think it's single target for him. Daze, yeah, so it's just the one target. But, you know, if you're with this one here, you have to have 14 kills with your Geonosians. So again, make sure that you subtract 14 off because you're going to get that with him. All right. Death Trooper. Believe it's his basic. Yep, Daze. Now, why is that one there? I'm going to show you in a second. Holdo. Again, her AoE does Daze, which is great. All right. Deathmark is the issue. There are a few characters that have something to do with Deathmark or applying it. He's the only one I got to work. So with Jedi, with Darth Revan, that did not seem to work. So kind of focus on Death Trooper. So you got a couple of them here with Death Trooper. I did not build a team for Sector 5 to show you as an example because any of these will work. You got to use Bad Batch already. You're just going to get these just through doing the other ones. Just be mindful that you have to do them. That's all. Going over to the boss. All right. For this one here, I did use a JMK mirror, and I had Barris in with it. Barris's heal gives 20, or gives an AoE to all your characters' defense up. So instead of focusing on resetting Cat's abilities, I reset Barris's abilities. That's easy. You're going to have that. Cat will do your 200,000 damage. And attack out of turns 30 times. Well, that's what this team does. The main thing is try not to kill too fast. You want Barris to do her heal ability, which gives everybody defense up. All right, moving over to the other feats. All right, now we're at the event feats. Most of the stuff is just done as you go through. There's only one that was annoying. So, offense up 500 times, defeat at least 500 enemies. You will do that. Doesn't say to win. Remember, none of these, or actually those first two are not to win. Now it says win 50 battles with full side dark side units, with full squad of dark side units. Win 20 battles with no tanks, again, by doing the other feats. Some of these are just going to be defaulted gotten, so that's not a big deal. 50 battles with a light side. Unaligned force users. you're going to get that automatically too when you work on. And remember, it doesn't say to win. So when you're doing the ones where you use first order, you've got two unaligned force users there. When you do Night Sisters, Asajj Ventress is unaligned. When you do JMK or whatever, and you got Cat, she's unaligned. So there's multiple unaligned force users you can do. Work them into your squads as you're doing things, and then try to get some kills with them when applicable. This was the annoying one. This is the one I did at the end. When everything else was done, I made a team with Darth Maul and Savage Oppress, and I went through and did it. My Savage is like your 9. I don't know. It's really low. He doesn't have to live. He just has to be there when you start. And I use Sith Eternal for that. But whatever. You can do a team of Jedi and just put those two in. It doesn't matter. Whatever you have that's going to do the job. You can do it on the first sector. Go up against whatever is easiest and bang that one out. Again, I did that one at the end. You can do this whenever. You could probably do a few of those a day when you're doing the other ones, and that's fine. Like I said, I just waited to the end and did mine at the end. But anyways, that is it. That's the whole thing. Like, subscribe, support the channel, help me out. And yeah, hopefully this gets more down to it and helps you guys out. Thank you so much. Bye.